First, this is the control panel, and here's your battery, which is a 12 volt. It's 20 hour, 15 HA, whatever the hell that means. So this is your oil cap here. You got to take that off. Now when we fill it, we've got to fill it all the way to that H. And when you put it back in, you got to make sure that you don't cross thread it. Make sure it goes nice and easy. Then you want to make it nice and tight. Once you put the oil in, what's going to happen is you're going to pour it in into that using your funnel, and you're going to pour it until the oil fills up to that H mark on the dipstick, which we're going to show you. You got to be careful not to overfill it, because overfilling the oil could cause the engine to not start or to hard start. You got to replace that oil fill cap and dipstick so that's fully tightened. And the oil level should be checked prior to each use for every 8 hours of use. So after you burn 8 hours worth of fuel, check the oil and make sure you got enough in there. All right, so now we're going to go through this control panel. First thing we're going to look at is the your fuel selector switch. It's used to select and turn on gasoline or LP fuel source. When it's up here, it's closed. If it was over here, it'd be closed for gas. And if it's on the gas, it's closed for LP. So you've got to choose what you're going to use, either gasoline or LP. All right. Next, we have the indicator light. All right. When the fuel selector switch is turned to the gas or LP position, the indicator light will become red up to 4 minutes before it goes off. Starting the engine successfully during these 4 minutes will turn the indicator light green. You must have solid red indicator light to be able to start the generator. The generator cannot be started during the battery power savings mode unless the fuel selector switch is turned to the off position and then turned back to gas or LP. See the indicator light battery power savings mode section for more information. All right, so anyway, when this is in the off position, this is off. But when you turn it over here to here, this is going to turn red for about 4 minutes. And then if you have a successful start and the thing's running, this will turn green. So either you got to put it to LP or gas to do that, and that's got to go green to be successfully running. So remember that. You got 4 minutes at red, and then it turns off. So during that 4 minute time, you're trying to start the engine. This right here is the electric start. This thing has an electric starter on it besides the pole starter. And what you do is you're going to push this, and you're going to push that, and it's used to start the engine and start the motor. And to start the engine, press and hold that switch to the start position. The engine will crank and attempt to start. When the engine starts, release the switch to the run position. So you push it this way to start it, and as soon as it starts, you let go of it. So that's for the electric mode, which we're probably going to be using the pole start. This is a multimeter data minder, and you press this thing to get your information, your voltage, and your hertz, and your running hours. These three things here are circuit breakers, all right? So the receptacles are protected by an AC circuit protector. If the generator is overloaded or an external short circuit occurs, the circuit protector will trip. If this occurs, disconnect all electric loads and try to determine the cause of the problem before attempting to use the generator again. If overloading causes the circuit protector to trip, reduce the load. Take one of your refrigerators off. Note, continuous tripping of the circuit breaker may cause damage to the generator and the equipment. So you got to figure that problem out if these continue to trip. This is also the circuit breaker here. So this is in the push position, this is the pushed out. So this is tripped and this is running, okay? All right, so these are your covers for your outlets, and this kind of pushes on there, and that keeps the rain from getting in it. So if you got it outside, make sure that these are really covered. So this one right here is the one we're probably going to be using most. And that just pops off, and if you look at that, you're going to see that it looks like, you know, regular GFIC or whatever you call those outlets. So it's got a reset thing. It's got just like the ones that you have in your house, except for it's all black. I'm going to get you a better, closer picture of this. All right, so you've seen these before. I got one over on the wall that's dedicated for my volt. But anyway, this is the 110, and that's what we're going to probably be using. We're not going to be using those 250s or those larger ones. All right, so this is a 120 volt, 20 amp duplex GFCI ground fault circuit interrupter, and that's what we're going to be using. All right, so anyway, let's go over this this GFCI plug-in here. This is a ground fault circuit interrupter. It conforms to the UL 943 and the NEC requirements. This device protects you against hazardous electrical shock that may be caused if your body becomes the path through which the electricity travels to reach the ground. This could happen when you touch an appliance or a cord that is live through faulty mechanism, damp, or worn insulation. So that's important to have that, and that's what we're going to use. All right, this one right here is a 120 volt, 30 amp twist lock. The maximum full load is 30 amp current may be drawn from this 120 volt receptacle, okay? Then this next one is a 120 240V 30A twist lock. Maximum amps 30, current may be drawn from this 120 240 volt receptacle. This is the ground terminal here. I'm sorry, there's a ground terminal. According to the manual, the National Electric Code requires your generator must be properly connected to an appropriate ground to help prevent electrical shocks. The manual recommends using 12 AWG minimum copper wire between the generator ground terminal and a copper rod driven into the ground. And then you got a 120 240V 50 amp, supplies electrical power for the operation of a 120 240 volt AC 50 amp single phase. Maximum full load current may be drawn from this receptacle. If other receptacles are used at the same time, total power use must be within the nameplate. So you gotta make sure that you figure out how much you're going to be drawing and don't overdo it. Covers protect this from getting dust and moisture in there. So you want to make sure that they're on there when you're not using it. And right here is your LP inlet. You got to pull this thing off of there, and that's where you connect your LP hose to your generator. Turn off the LP resource when generator is not in use. So you want to make sure that you turn off the gas flow to this when you're not using the generator. So if you're running it and then you stop it, turn it off on your tank. Okay, it's important. Remember that. It's set to be used in temperatures about 40 degrees centigrade, which is about 104 degrees Fahrenheit. When you're using this, you need to protect the thing. You don't want it to get over 122 degrees for any long periods of time. So you don't want to expose it to super hot weather. If you got it way out in the sun in Florida, when it's 100 degrees out, that thing could cook up to easily 120. So you want to make sure you got it in the shade somewhere. Use this, you must use it outdoors in a well-ventilated area where the fumes won't be coming back into the building. Otherwise, you could kill yourself. We're at sea level, but if you were up in Colorado trying to use this thing, you get a little bit different performance. So you're going to have to read about that. The higher you are, the less pressure. It's much different, less oxygen, a lot of things going on. Do not attempt to start this thing before you put the oil in. They consider the first 5 hours that you run this to be like a break-in period. And they want you to try not to load it up too much. Oh, great. Because we have a hurricane, we're going to need to put both refrigerators on it. We'll try to just do one. But they're saying just to try to use 50% of the load. So what we would want to do is try to do about 4,000, which really is 2 refrigerators. So we could probably do it because we got a total of 8,000. And, that should be okay. So after 5 hours, then you can put the full load on. So anyway, this unit is equipped with a low oil shutdown. If the oil level becomes lower than required, the sensor will activate a warning device or stop the engine. If the generator shuts off and the oil level is within the specifications, check to make sure that the generator is not sitting on an angle and is on a nice level playing field. Because if it's on an angle, it could be shifting the oil back, and that could be causing it to trip. Make sure you place it on an even surface to correct this, If the engine fails to start, the oil level may not be sufficient to deactivate the low-level oil switch. Make sure the sump is completely full of oil. That's the bottom part of the oil pan. Clean, fresh, unleaded gas, and you want it to be at least 87 minimum octane. Don't find an old can in the back that's been sitting there 2 years and try to pour it in there. You want to ruin your $700 generator. Do not use gasoline that's more than 10% ethanol or E85. That will screw up the engine. So here's your choke right over the air filter. This is the start position. Once the engine starts, you have to push it immediately to the run and let it run. Do not leave it on the choke. You'll blow your engine up. So move it right back over here as soon as that's done. All right, before you start the generator, what you want to do is you want to check for any loose or missing parts or damage or anything that doesn't look right. Then make sure that you check the oil level and also make sure that you check the gasoline level. Make sure you got enough gasoline in there. Then you got to turn the fuel selector switch either to gas or LP. And when the fuel selector switch is turned to the gas position, the indicator light will become red for about 4 minutes. Start the engine successfully during these 4 minutes and that light will turn green. We're going to show you that. Then you want to make sure that you disconnect all electrical loads from the generator. Never start or stop the generator with electrical devices plugged in or turned on. So when you go to turn off the generator, make sure that you unplug your devices. Otherwise, that's not good for the, Move the choke lever located on the engine to start position. Pull the starter cord slowly. Pull the starter cord slowly until you get a little bit of resistance and then pull rapidly. A reminder, you must have a solid red indicator light to be able to start the generator. The generator will not start during the battery power saving mode unless the fuel selector switch is turned to the off position and then turned back to gas position. See the indicator light and battery power savings mode. Check that section out for more. Over choke the engine, whatever you do. Allow the generator to run at no load for a few minutes upon each initial start to permit the engine and the generator to stabilize. But do not over choke. As soon as the engine starts and warms up, move that choke lever back to run. So you're going to put it here to start it, and then as soon as it does, you're going to put it there. And then you're going to let this thing run for a while, and then you can go ahead and hook up all your stuff. This thing right here, because you can get start cord kickback. And what that means that when you have it's a rapid retraction of this thing. It could break your hand. It will pull your hand or arm toward the engine faster than you can let go, which could cause broken bones, fractures, bruises, sprains, resulting in serious injury. When starting the engine, pull cord slowly until resistance is felt, then pull rapidly to avoid the kickback. Keep the choke level at start for only the first pull, and if it doesn't start, then you're going to put it to the run position on choke, and for up to the next 3 pulls of the recoil starter. Too much choke leads to spark plug following, engine flooding due to lack of incoming air, and this will cause the engine not to start. A little note is if the engine starts after 3 pulls but fails to run, or if the unit shuts down during operation, make sure the unit is on a level surface and check the proper oil level in the crankcase. This unit may be equipped with a low oil device, and it is. If so, oil must be at the proper level for the engine to start. Tomorrow, we're going to hook it up to some LP. We're going to use this hose that they provided with it, and we're going to see how she works. Peace out. All right, I'll let you know how it goes with the Hurricane. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and check out my other videos on this brand new generator that I just bought for the Hurricane. Bye.